Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Afeka Academic College of Engineering and American Friends of Afeka from across the United States, Israel, and around the world for this webinar, Israel at War, Iran's Nuclear Threat and What Comes Next. We're coming together at a moment when Israel is facing a very complex and evolving security situation, including the growing threat of Iran's nuclear program. My name is Elliot Horlick, and I am the founder of American Friends of Afeka. American Friends of Afeka is a new nonprofit dedicated to advancing education, research, and opportunity at Afeka Academic College of Engineering in Tel Aviv. As Afeka College marks its 30th anniversary, Afeka College is undergoing a significant expansion, building an entirely new engineering campus in Tel Aviv's fastest-growing tech hub, the Yad Eliyahu neighborhood in southeast Tel Aviv. This ambitious project is moving forward even as Israel grapples with an ongoing war against Iran and its terror proxies. American Friends of Afeka is honored to stand with Afeka College in strengthening Israel's security and engineering Israel's future. I would like to introduce Professor Yossi Rosenwaks, the president of Afeka College and a world-renowned nanotechnology scholar. Yossi has authored over 200 articles in leading peer-reviewed journals and holds over 10 patents, several of which have led to the establishment of successful startup ventures. Yossi joined Afeka College from Tel Aviv University, where he served as the former dean of the Faculty of Engineering. Yossi will discuss how Afeka College has positioned itself as a leading institution in training the next generation of engineers and innovators in Israel, producing graduates who not only shape and secure Israel's technological future, but also lead global knowledge economies. Over to you, Yossi.
Good evening, everybody from Israel, and thank you very, very much for joining us today from the United States, from Israel, and around the world. Before we begin, let me briefly introduce Afeka for those who may not have heard or are not familiar with our institution. Afeka is certainly Israel's leading college of engineering. We have 3,500 students, 8 undergraduate programs and 5 graduate programs, and we are located currently in northern Tel Aviv. As Elliot said, we will move in 1.5 years to the Yad Eliyahu neighborhood. As a researcher who's doing research in engineering for over 30 years, I see engineering as the modern Zionism. I think this is certainly for the last 20 years Israel's main resource. And this is even more important these days during the war epic fury on which you will hear today. As for last week, around 600 of our students are serving in active reserve duty in the IDF. Like many other institutes in Israel, we give them a lot of help and support during very challenging period. We are also expanding our mental health and resilience program to help the students who come back from the battlefield. This is a very important issue. Before we dive in, I want to say again how grateful we are for all our supporters and friends around the world, and especially in the United States. And I'm very happy and proud that we have 2 very distinguished speakers tonight. Elliot will introduce them, so I deeply thank my colleagues, Danny Rothschild and Ori, for being with us tonight. To guide this webinar, I'm pleased to hand things over to Elliot Horlick. He's founded the American Friends of Afeka a few months ago, and I really thank you and grateful for this. Elliot, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Yossi, for those thoughtful remarks. As Yossi said, this is an incredibly challenging moment for Israel. Many Afeka students are currently serving in the Israel Defense Force Reserves in the midst of Israel's ongoing war against Iran and its terror proxies, while continuing their academic studies and contributing to Israel's defense and technology ecosystem. Institutions like Afeka College play a vital role in preparing the next generation of engineers and innovators who strengthen Israel's security and technological leadership. We are grateful to be able to bring together expert voices from Afeka, who can help us understand the strategic dimensions of what is currently unfolding in Israel and the Middle East. We are honored to be joined today by two of Israel's leading experts on national security and nuclear strategy. Major General Danny Rothschild served more than 3 decades in the Israel Defense Forces, including as Deputy Director of Military Intelligence and head of its Research and Analysis Department. He has long been one of Israel's most respected strategic thinkers on regional security, and he is the chairman of the Board of Trustees at Afeka College. Dr. Colonel Ori Nissim Levy is chair of World Nuclear Forum 193 and an internationally recognized expert on nuclear defense and the global nuclear landscape. During the past 2.5 years, Ori served 250 days of reserve duty in the IDF as commander of the Reserve Forces of NEMA, Israel's National Emergency Management Authority. He is also a lecturer at Afeka College. His expertise is especially relevant as we examine Iran's nuclear ambitions and the broader implications for regional and international security. So with that, let's begin our discussion. Please feel free to add your questions to the chat box, and we will have time at the end of this webinar for a Q&A session. Danny, I'd like to start with you. Given your extensive military history, particularly in intelligence, what is your current analysis of the military operation in Iran? And how do you evaluate the highly impressive Israeli intelligence operations there, including the assassination of Iran's former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei?
Well, thank you, Elliot. Thank you, everyone which joined us in that session. And I'll say a few remarks. I'm not going to talk about everything which interests probably everyone in each and every one of you. But as far as we are concerned, intelligence-wise, what we have done at the first night, the first day actually, at 9 o'clock in the morning of the first day, we targeted all the leaders which are decision makers in Iran at that time. And since then, day by day, almost on a daily basis, we are doing it to their replacements. There is no replacement which can stay more than a week or 2 weeks in his duty. And that's something which has a huge impact on the whole operation in the war with Iran. We could have done it because of very good intelligence that we had. We are gathering information about Iran for many, many years. It hasn't started the days before the attack. It started a long, long time ago. But we reached a level of intelligence in which we know and we can target every target that is feasible within seconds, even while the aircrafts are on their way or hovering above Tehran. Targets can be changed because of new intelligence which came in, and the aircraft can hit new targets. And that's a result of a huge intelligence work with all the sources which are possible in the intelligence work to us. Now, as far as the operation is concerned, I'm not going to talk about the nuclear part of it. Ori is here, is much, much more expert than I am. But we had few targets which we dealt with and we are dealing with on a daily basis. First of all is to degrade the launch capabilities of the Iranian. We are doing it on a daily basis. It's us with the American forces. In every place that we know or we get an information that launchers of missiles are hidden, which is not an easy job because Iran is a huge country, and in order to hit targets in the eastern part of Iran, it's a mission which exceeds the range of a usual sortie of our airplanes or even American airplanes, except the B-1, B-2 bomber, 52 bombers of the Americans. But for us, degrading the launch capability is a mission which has an immediate impact on our lives here in Israel. The second thing is destabilizing the establishments, targeting almost everyone which is part of the Iranian establishment which take decisions, either decisions which have to do with war against Israel, war against Iranian neighbors in the Gulf, which I'll say a few words on them later on, or inside Iran, if it be the Basij, which are the internal forces which usually are dealing with the internal forces or internal citizens which are will hopefully get to the streets in order to destabilize and take over the regime in Iran, or if it's the Revolutionary Guards, which are the ones which did the full power in Iran. They are the ones today which are actually taking decisions in Iran. I don't believe that there is a leader like the son of Khomeini which take decision. He's not in a position probably to take decisions. The ones which are taking decisions are the leaders of the Revolutionary Guards and the Basij, and we are taking the leaders of them one by one. The last one, only the day before yesterday, we hit the heads of the Basij, both the head and the deputy and the head of the Revolutionary Guard. And the third issue that we are dealing with is degrading the military capabilities, because Iran, at the end of the war, will have to be out of all their military capabilities. And hopefully we'll succeed. We are doing it. It's on a daily basis. It's not only us, it's the American. One word on the American, few words on the American, the cooperation between the two forces, the American and the Israeli forces, is something which I've never seen before, never dreamed of before. They're sitting in the same command post. Missions are decided jointly and are taken out jointly. And that's something which I must tell you frankly, I've never dreamed of. As far as the Iranians are concerned, at the moment, they are concentrated in the war of the oil sources. Will it be the Hormuz Straits, which they are closing, or will it be on hitting targets which has to do with the oil refineries or gas refineries in the Gulf countries? Will it be in Saudi Arabia? Or in Qatar, in the Emirates? Every place in the Gulf which produces oil, and the reason for it is in order to make you Americans feel that the price of oil is going up, and hopefully you will put pressure on the decision makers, mainly the president, in order to stop the war. And that's something which they're doing almost on a daily basis, and they are increasing their attacks on the Gulf countries day by day. Now, one word, the few words on I'm sorry. I'm sorry, there are noises here which are disturbing. The Gulf countries thought that they will not be part of the war against Iran. Iran just dragged them into the war. And what we see in the last few days, more and more attacks on the Gulf countries, mainly on the oil resources. And that's something which I guess will continue in the next few days. As far as the Iranians are concerned, the second thing that they are doing is targeting our cities on a daily basis. Only today or tonight and in the last 24 hours, we had 6 or 7 attacks on our cities. Thankfully, we have a system which is the most advanced system in the world. That to begin with is giving us an early warning. Usually we are getting up to 10 minutes warning before the missile is hit, and then a minute or two before the missile actually hit the targets, we are getting a second warning, which brings us all to the shelters. And that brings to it that there are very few casualties, although there are quite a few buildings which were hit and destroyed because the Iranians are using cluster bombs. If we haven't succeeded in taking them out in space, then they are getting down, and those are cluster bombs which have between 20 to 80 small bombs. Each of them is very small, but makes a huge damage if it hits targets. We have, in order to protect us, we have our anti-missile system, the Arrow, which can hit targets in space or after it penetrates the atmosphere. The David Sling, which is range between space and Earth, and the Iron Shield or the Iron Dome, which hit targets which are close to the surface. So the success of those 3 layers of defense are enormous. It's more than 90%, reaching the 95 or 98%, and that's something which is for us, it's lifesaver. As far as the situation will continue, I don't think anyone can predict at the moment. It's much more than like a chicken game, and I guess the Iranian will continue to use all the means and power in order to hit targets in the Gulf and in Israel, mainly targets which involve the oil production, in order to raise the price of oil all over the world. And we and the Americans are going to hit as much as we can those targets which are threatening the oil production facilities in the Gulf and hitting Israel. And that will have, in the end, a huge regional implication, because when that war will end, and hopefully will end in a situation that Iran will not have the power to threaten anymore none of its neighbors, including Israel, then the whole Middle East will take a different shape. But that will be for another meeting. So thank you very much for having me on that issue, and I'll come back to you afterwards.
Thank you. This is very informative. So Ori, Turning to the nuclear dimension of this conflict, based on what we know today, in your view, how close is Iran to actually having the capability to produce a nuclear weapon? And how should we understand the difference between having enriched uranium and having an operational nuclear weapon?
Okay, hello. First of all, thank you, Elliot, for the question. And I have to open with one remarks as well. I'm very honorable to be side by side to General Major Danny. And I think in Israel state, if they would have listened to some of the things that he wrote and said, maybe it would be a better situation right now. And thank you, Yossi, President Yossi of Afeka, for inviting me. I'm very proud to represent Afeka. And one more remark, because I know some of the people here, or most of them, are for the United States. So I did my engineering degree at Hofstra University in Long Island. So I love the States. I traveled a lot, and I miss you all, and I hope to come visit. As far as the Iranian, unfortunately, today they are very close to nuclear bomb. I will explain that in a little while, but they're very close. There is a process. There is specifically three vectors which states need to, in order to have a nuclear bomb. We need the radioactive material. It can be uranium, it can be plutonium, it can be other materials. And we need also a missile to take it from one state to another. So we know that we have them. We know that Iran have this because unfortunately we see, what they shooting at us every day, like daily. So, and maybe that's the point to say that the Iranian are very good creating missiles. They really in a high level. There are not another states that are producing missiles. They're very good in it. Maybe on the top three on the world. So they have this side. On the other thing, we need also all the electrical circuits. So once you shoot something, atomic bomb or hydrogen, unfortunately, or plutonium bomb, you need it to work and get explode in the states. We don't know what's the states of this, and they may do it. So coming back to your question, how close they are, they're very close because about 85% of the money, time, resources to make an atomic bomb, it's the uranium or the plutonium. Plutonium is a different problem, and we know they have this 400 kilograms, and we know they have it. So unfortunately, I have to say that they're very close, maybe weeks or very few months, because once you go to work on such a scale of a project, nuclear project, you don't work, step by step. You work in parallel. So you have one team working on the missile, one team working on the warhead, one team working on the nuclear. So unfortunately, they may be quite some close. Of course, we can see the situation right now with all the war and bombing in the United States and Israel. The Allies did a lot of problems, a lot of bombing over there, but it depends where and what. The main issue right now is the 400 kilograms that the IAEA from Vienna, they said they saw the material 9 months ago, and they said they have at least 450 kilograms and at least 60% enriched uranium. The point is that because the IAEA is a division of the United Nations, they have to go on the low level. So we know for sure there's at least 400 kilograms and at least 60%. Maybe that's the point to say that you can make a bomb even if it's 60%, you don't have to go to the correct number, which is 90 or 93% enriched uranium. You can do it with 60. You just need more material. It's more complex, not complex, but it's heavier and problematic to guide it, but you can do it. So that's the situation right now. Iran has about 20 locations that are really interest the West, Israel states and other states. About uranium, we have the Natanz, Fordow, Arak, Isfahan. Each specific place like this have a specific job. For example, Natanz, its job is to enrich uranium until the level of 20%. I remind you that the percentage in order to do nuclear energy, Iran has from 2007, Bushehr, they have a nuclear power plant that producing energy. So they have the technology, they have the university, the information, the scientists, they have all this and they make. So, but you need it until 3 to 3.6%. There's no reason for you to go above. If you go to more advanced reactor, like small modular reactor, maybe you go to 19.7, but there's definitely no reason to go above 60 or even 90. So Natan's supposed to go until 20. Fordoux supposed to take the 20% and enrich it until 60 or 90. That's why Fordoux is really interesting for the West. And we have Ispahan that their process, their main target is to take the gas uranium, because in order for you to enrich it, you need to take it to the gas level. It's one of the systems that you can enrich it and take it back to a metal, because as a bomb, unfortunately, you have to take it as a metal, as two spheres, and to put them together. So coming back to the situation, how close they are, we understand that the uranium, enriched uranium, is the most precious holy grail, kind of say, that they need for the bomb. It's probably below either Isfahan or Natanz. That's why the United States and Israel are very interested in those places. Definitely, we don't really know right now where is this. It's very easy and very logical to expand it, to divide it to some places. And uranium is the most heaviest material on Earth. So the point is that it's not like a 400, it's not like a truck. It's very small. It's like a suitcase because it's very heavy. So it's very easy. Iran is a 1.6 million square kilometers. It's a huge country. So unfortunately, if later on we'll talk what can be done with these 400 kilograms, but this is the main thing to look for right now. And I hope it will be able to be found. And there are some ways later on, maybe we'll talk about it.
Great, thank you. Danny, going back to you. Israel has long relied on technological superiority as a pillar of its national security. From your perspective, how important are institutions like Afeka College in training the engineers and innovators who will maintain Israel's strategic edge in the decades ahead?
Well, I'll make it short. It's mostly important. It's highly important. And I think I've been involved in the last few weeks in part of the intelligence units. And I went to speak with those people in order to help them. And I found more and more people which are graduates of a technological institute, including Afeka people. And you'll find those people almost in every unit in the intelligence. I will say without those colleges and universities which deals with engineering, we would not have been able to get such an impressive intelligence success in the last war or in the wars which we already done before. And that's the main pillar of our strategy. Without intelligence, it's something which it's useless to go into fighting like that. Now, we are sharing information with the Americans. They are sharing information with us. But all in all, in almost every intelligence unit, will it be in the SIGINT, in the OSINT, in the VISINT, almost in every part of the intelligence, I found graduates of engineering faculties from all over the world, and it's something which is the most important task which colleges can provide us with.
Definitely. Ori, turning back to you. One term we often hear is breakout time. How quickly could Iran theoretically move from its current uranium stockpile to weapons-grade material if it chose to do so? And what are the biggest concerns among nuclear experts about the security and location of Iran's reported enriched uranium stockpiles, especially in the aftermath of the US and Israeli strikes targeting Iran's nuclear facilities?
Okay, thank you for this question. When we look at Iran in the current situation, we have two concerns. One, the short term, which is more advanced, and the long term. Iran, we know by the information that was exposed in the public, everybody talk about the enriched uranium, but the people that understand the nuclear material will ask the question. Usually, most of the atomic bomb in the world is plutonium. So what do we really care about uranium? The reason is because you can make bombs from both materials. There's plus and minuses for each one of them. We will not go into it, but uranium is the lowest level. So if you want to conceptually talk about, the scale of the bombs, it will be uranium, plutonium, and hydrogen. So there's three different scales. But all the nuclear stage is yes or no, it's binary, which means we see, for example, North Korea, when they have the atomic bomb, nobody talks to them, and it's very easy to confront them and to make a frontier with a war. So Iran wants to come to nuclear, not necessarily, by the way, in order to throw it, but to get insurance card. So they're looking technologically. We know that they went to the three sides. They went to the uranium bomb, plutonium bomb, and hydrogen, which is much more difficult, and technologically, it's much, much more complex to do it. Also, to talk about enrichment, how long they can do it so the short term we talked about it, it's the 400 kilos. This is the most concern of the West. If we talk about the long term, we make some assessment, and we understand there's different numbers, according to CIA, Mossad, and even us in the World Nuclear Forum. We make an assessment. We understand that the damage that was caused, a while ago and also in the last 2 weeks, is about 70 to 90% damage. But still, states like Iran, it's a huge state. Once they did something, they come back to it. And the enriched uranium, which come back to the process, is very difficult at the beginning. So it's very difficult to enrich uranium from 0.07, 0.7, this is a uranium in nature, to take it to 3.6 and maybe to 15 and to 20%. So the higher the percentage, the faster the process. Now we know for sure they have 400 kilos of 60%. It's quite fast. Also, we're talking about weeks or so, if they have the right centrifuge and they can do it. It will take them very, very short time to do it. So the long term would be less of concern right now, but the short term is very, very, very problematic. We know that the United States are talking about doing some operation and to go dig and look for it. It's a very risky operation. Maybe they'll have to do it, and they maybe do it. The United States Army and Trump will decide. But if they do it, we're talking about 1,000 soldiers for each location. So we're talking Fordow, Natanz, Isfahan. Nobody knows for sure. Israel, I'm talking everything from opening. In the army, I'm also doing some stuff, but nothing concerned to nuclear. Otherwise, I would not be able, to come and speak publicly about stuff. So any information I'm talking about is public information. So they will need at least 1,000, Navy SEALs and very special unit. This is not something in a mass. This is something very specific. So it will be very difficult. They need to come with a caterpillar and things like that. Very problematic. Yes, the right place to say right now that uranium, if you bomb it, nothing will happen. So sometimes people are, ask me on the TV or second, or, the national media, what will happen if they would bomb it? So nothing would bomb it. It's more of a problematic, like a poison or something, but it's not going to be explode. In order for you to explode some radioactive material, you need a specific process, very, very difficult to do. So we have the long term and the short term. The long term probably get a big damage, even though they probably will be able to rebuild everything and not everything was destroyed. But the short term is much more problematic, and I hope they'll do it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. Let's say it this way, it's a big challenge to solve this problem, the 400 kilos, because it's probably spread to few locations.
Thank you. Danny, turning back to you. During your military career, you also served as commander of the IDF units in southern Lebanon. During this war with Iran, Israel is experiencing further missile attacks from Iran's terror proxy Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, which the IDF has been responding to, including by expanding its ground operations in southern Lebanon. How do you see this round of fighting playing out with Hezbollah? And is it different than previous rounds, given the success Israel has had fighting Hezbollah in the past 2.5 years?
Yeah, well, to begin with, I have to say that Hezbollah is much degraded from the last time that we fought with him. Still, we have a problem because most of our villages and towns in the northern part of Israel are very close to the border and are within a range, no range or nothing to be hit from the Lebanese border. So that's the first remark. The second one is Hezbollah started or joined the fighting in March 2nd, and they initiated it. We were prepared to it. We waited for it. But they could have sit quiet, not join, and I guess nothing would have happened. But once they started, we have to retaliate and we have to eliminate that threat to our northern border. Now, as far as what we have done until now, the first thing is, since, as I said, the threat to the northern villages is an imminent one from close range, we brought quite a few ground forces and we entered Lebanon in order to take the first ridge which dominates the towns and the villages in the northern border, in order that the direct hit will not they will not be able to hit directly to those villages and towns. But that's not enough because they still have some missile capabilities, including long-range missile, the same as the Iranians have, which can hit center Israel. But most of their weapons is a short-range missiles and drones, which usually they are using in order to hit our northern villages, the northern part of Israel, not only those which are sitting on the borders. So in order to deal with that, we are using our Air Force, and the Air Force is hitting targets all over Lebanon, including in Beirut, in the Dahya of Beirut, including in the Bekaa Valley, where the Hezbollah is deployed in a big force. But bear in mind that for us, at the moment, Israel is a secondary area. Iran is the first priority, and most of our force will go to Iran, because that's a much bigger threat to Israel. Having said that, we'll continue to push towards the north with ground forces, and we'll continue to hit every place which we will see Hezbollah activities in the north. Politically, it's much more complicated in Lebanon at the moment because, as you know, Lebanon is divided between Shiites, Sunnites, and Christians. Shiites are the majorities. Hezbollah is Shiite, but what we see in the last 2 weeks is that more and more Shiite people are standing up against Hezbollah. They said Hezbollah is destroying Lebanon. Hezbollah should not have started the war. And what happens today in Lebanon is an outcome of Hezbollah's attacks on Israel. And Hezbollah is more and more isolated in Lebanon, including in the government, Lebanese government. Now, as far as the Lebanese government is concerned, they don't have really the power in order to deal with Hezbollah, because Hezbollah is holding the weapons and holding the force, the big forces in Lebanon. What we are trying to do is to make them deal with it. And we are saying it's a Lebanese issue. It's not an issue of Hezbollah. It should be a Lebanese issue. I must tell you, without a big success, and I don't see that it will succeed in the future as far as the Lebanese government dealing with Hezbollah. I guess that in the next few weeks, we'll continue to see Israeli attacks on every Hezbollah unit or any Hezbollah target which we'll know about and which we'll see or find in Lebanon. Here, like in Iran, a lot of intelligence is concerned, a lot of intelligence is involved, and we have quite a good intelligence on what's going on in Lebanon. But there are still a lot of changes that I can foresee, including from the Syrian side. The Syrian army is starting to hit targets of Hezbollah in the Syrian Lebanese border. I don't know where it will end, but it will probably have an impact on Hezbollah. Eventually, it will have to end in a political solution between the Israeli government and the Lebanese government. I don't see it coming in the near future, but I hope that it will be somewhere in the future. We'll be able to deal with it.
Thank you. Ori, turning back to you. Looking ahead, what do you see as the most realistic pathway to preventing Iran from becoming a nuclear-armed state? And if a nuclear deal is eventually made with Iran on paper, should we have any confidence that the international community could effectively monitor Iran's nuclear activities?
Well, yes, this is the most, I think, the most important situation, not army-wise, I mean, war-wise, but nuclear-wise. That's what you're asking me, and I'll reply to it. So, when we make some kind of discussion, we can find four pathway possible. One of them is total annihilation. Trump said that, Bibi Netanyahu said that, but we understand it's not going to happen. It's not going to be 100%. It's going to be a big damage. And it's going to just delay them either months or years. It doesn't matter, but it will delay. So this is one situation, and I think that's the situation right now. It's not the best for no one, maybe for them, but not for the West. The second option can be that there will be an operation, and someone will go and try to take those 400 kilos and maybe make more destruction in Iran itself, in the nuclear facilities. That can be very good as well, but it's also not going to finish the problem. It's going to, make it much better than the other option at the moment. Now, you mentioned deal. Deal may be good. We saw the deal of the 2015. It was a big holes. One of the biggest holes on the old deal was that nobody talked inside the papers about terror, and that's what Iran did. Iran, armed all the Middle East and caused a lot of problem. But the problem with the deal that we know that it's very difficult to imply it and to control it and to make sure it's going to happen. I think that a deal would not be a good situation at all, nuclear-wise. Now, the fourth way is to change the regime. I'm not speaking as someone that will be able to change the regime. The United States and Israel, they said it and they went back and forth, I think because of the international law. They don't want to say, we want to change the regime, but that's what we want to do. So we need, we as a West, we need the regime to be changed, but with people with different motivation, because as long as they have motivation, we have a problem. So I think those are the four situations that may happen. If you ask my prediction, and I'm going to be very careful here, the 400 kilos will not be found, and it's going to be something like in between. So it's not going to be black or white, and this is not Gulf to the West. And I think Iran plan for the long term of the situation, and we see what's going on. So if you ask me, the best thing is the regime change with different motivation, and Iran is a beautiful country, and I hope you and I and Danny will be able to visit there one day. And I have friends that went, they've been in Iran until the age of 16, 20, and they miss their country, and I want to see that. And I think the Iranian people also needs to get something better than only war. So those are the four situations that I see, and thank you for the question.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to transition to respond to questions and answers from the audience. So one question, and maybe this is for you, Danny. To what extent are regional dynamics, including coordination or constraints with neighboring Arab countries, shaping Israel's operational flexibility during this conflict?
Well, I can only say what was published. Israel is using airspace of few neighboring countries. American strato tankers, which are refueling our Air Force, are doing it over airspace of our neighboring countries. And then there's more to that. And I think I stop here because it's very sensitive.
Great. And for Ori, what concerns you most right now about Iran's nuclear capabilities that may not fully be understood publicly?
I think the most problematic situation is that it will not be black or white. They will not be terminated unless the regime will fall. It is the point to say that we have 9 states that have nuclear weapon, and those 9 states, even if they're for Iran or against Iran, they don't want to bring some other countries to the club. So the best way, and we see right now opening all over the world. So there's one thing very good that happened in this war. War is not good, but some may happen, is that other states, before, if you look at the area, the situation of nuclear states, 2 or 3 years ago, many states are saying that they were going to, Poland, Turkey, Egypt. They say they're talking about energy and so on, but the line is quite close. So before the war with Iran, we saw many states are trying to run, and even Germany and states that they don't have, they went to run. But after everybody says, what happened to Iran with the war? Maybe they put it back, and they will go for nuclear. And we see many states today, more than 25 states, countries all over the world, are going to go to nuclear energy because of the energy situation. But some of them want it for the energy, which is very important, but some of them want to understand because they see it's an insurance card. So they want to go to energy because it's one step to go towards weapons. So we say in general, from 0 to 10 years it takes for states to go in to the nuclear weapon. If they have energy already, let's say Egypt, Turkey, other states, they have nuclear power plant energy, it will take them only 3 years to go to weapon. And if they threshold state, unfortunately, like Iran, it may take months. So we see this direction happening all over the world. So states, countries will go to nuclear energy, either to have energy and also to start warming up against the nuclear weapon.
Great. And we actually have one question for Yossi, if you're there. How is Afeka College working to address the mental health needs of the IDF reservists when they return from combat?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Unfortunately, so far during the last year, we had 2 of our students who have committed suicide after long service in Gaza. And we invited the families of these students that committed suicide, and also invited some of their friends and asked them openly what would they think would be the best thing to help the students who come back from Gaza, the students that study in Afeka. And they said one simple thing: please create us a quiet region that we can sit quietly and isolated from the rest of the campus, listen to music or doing yoga or such things. And I immediately took the task. Fortunately, we found a donor in the US that donated us money, and we are going to establish a a very modern tent. We call it a silent tent that will be a house in double quotation for these students. In addition, we have a special team in the office of the Dean of Students who are a team of psychologists and other people help that talk with the students and listen to their needs. This is in short, but we're doing a lot of activity, and unfortunately there are tens or even more of students who are mentally affected, especially by the Gaza war. Thank
Thank
you.
you. And then maybe we'll have one final question for Danny. How significant are Iran's proxy networks right now in shaping the course of this conflict?
I couldn't hear you. Say again.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the question was, how significant are Iran's proxy networks right now in shaping the course of this conflict?
How significant?
Are Iran's proxy networks, besides Hezbollah, which you already mentioned?
I can hardly hear you.
Proxy. Danny, the proxies. He's asking about the proxies.
Well, Iranian proxies at the moment are Hezbollah and the Houthis in Yemen. The Houthis at the moment are quiet. I guess that if they will be involved, it will be more to help the Iranian in the war on the seas, in the Bab el-Mandab Straits, and less towards Israel. I think their experience with Israel is as such that they don't want to do it again and to take the results which was in the last round with the Houthis. And the second possible targets of the Houthis are the Saudis. Mind you, there was a long war between the Saudis and the Houthis in the last decade with a lot of casualties. And there's a very bad blood between the two, the Houthis and the Saudis. The second proxy is Hezbollah, which I already talked about. I don't think they volunteered to go into the operation on March 2nd. I think the Iranians were putting a lot of pressure on them in order to get involved and to reduce the pressure of Iran. But they did it, and they will have to take the consequences. The last are the Hamas in Gaza. They are much more in the declaration phase at the moment, and not capable of doing much against Israel. So those are the Iranian proxies. There are in the second phase range, there are countries which are helping them, but mainly Russia, China, a little bit Turkey, but that's it.
Thank you. Great. So Yossi, Danny, and Ori, thank you all for sharing your expertise and insights with us today. This has been an incredibly informative and important discussion. And thank you to everyone who joined us from across the United States, Israel, and around the world. As we've heard today, the challenges facing Israel are complex and evolving, and institutions like Afeka College play a critical role in preparing the engineers and innovators who will help strengthen Israel's security, resilience, and technological leadership in the years ahead. Many Afeka students are currently serving in the IDF reserves while continuing their academic studies, and Afeka College remains deeply committed to supporting them and the broader Afeka community during this difficult time. If you value the work that Afeka is doing during this critical moment and the important role Afeka plays in educating the next generation of Israeli engineers and strengthening Israel's future security, we encourage you to support Afeka College and its students. You can find a QR code at the top of your screens, and you will also see a link in the chat where you can learn more about how to contribute. For those joining us from the United States today, please visit the website of American Friends of Afeka, www.friendsofafeka.org, to learn the ways that you can play a direct role in shaping Afeka's future by contributing to Afeka College through our 501c3 organization. On our website, you will find information about naming opportunities at Afeka College's pioneering new engineering campus in the Yad Eliyahu neighborhood of Southeast Tel Aviv, as well as information about American Friends of Afeka's new partnership with Israel Bonds, which allows for the opportunity to name American Friends of Afeka as the recipient of a new or existing Israel bond. Thank you again for being with us today, and we hope you will continue to stay connected with Afeka, American Friends of Afeka, and Israel. Am Yisrael Chai.